One of our most precious assets in Bitcoin are the developers, people that are behind Bitcoin code. And one of my favorite projects this year was CUBO Plus. So right now at the stage we will have the CUBO Plus Devs Generation presentation, a conversation about the process of running an educational program, the challenges along the way and the future of CUBO Plus educational program. So please give some applauses to Mario Flamenco and Filippo.
Hi, we're gonna connect our presentation just a second. Okay, so hi everyone, and thank you for being here. We're gonna talk about what me and Filippo did the start of this year. We did some education program, but technical education, of course, because this is the technical stage. Um, we started around March or April this year, and well, first, I would like to start talking about why we need something like Cubo Plus. Well, basically, this is an outsourcing country. If you were of a tech sector, if you were a computer science engineer student, you had two options. You had the option of being a Microsoft outsource worker, or Amazon, or a big tech company. Or if you knew how to speak English, you had the option to work in a call center. And those were the two options that you had, which is not that exciting, if you're a computer science engineer. So that's why we saw the need for Cubo Plus. The first thing that we noticed in this country was that, well, obviously the private sector universities, they adapt their curricula to the needs of the industry that they provide workers for mostly. So they use a lot of proprietary language like C#. And that's one of the main things that the students in this country learn, C#. And they almost actually not at all understand or were thought about stuff related to open source or some languages that are usually more widely in open source. So JavaScript still well used in all the schools, even though they do like in that direction. As I was telling you before, the two options that mostly the students had were to have a very not that necessarily exciting job in tech, or to be a call center worker. So Cubo Plus, in a bunch of ways, is thought to be a new brink of hope for the students of this country. Why we call it Cubo Plus? Well, basically, the president, Nayib Bukele, had this idea of these community centers that are cubicle in form, and they are in the most vulnerable, socially vulnerable areas of this country that they used to be the most, and they're still, because they still have the stigma of the gangs. I guess most of you have heard about the violent past of this country. It was quite bad. Like, we had like as much deaths as there is in a war zone, but we had them like for different reasons in different ways. And that was the daily life of the Salvadoreños. We many times were the most dangerous country in the world. We were like jumping up and down the fifth, the #1, and for a few years. So when the gangs did some crazy stuff, and that was like the limit for the tolerance of everybody, and then the president did all the 70,000 arrests. Now something happened, like that they had a monopoly on violence and in crime. So now there's no violence and crime in the country. But then they left the spot open for anything else that young kids could be interested in. Because if you were in a vulnerable area of this country, you had the option of joining a gang, or to be afraid of the gang and just grow up in your house. So the solution for that was these community centers that are called CUBO. They have computers inside, they have PlayStation 5s, they have books, they have space to do any type of indoor activity, and some of them actually have recording studios, and some kids are recording their own music and producing their own music. So because coders are like very creative and we think a lot about like visuals and stuff, we just copy the name and we put a plus on it. And then this guy also did this logo in like 30 seconds. So that's where CUBO Plus comes from. And that's where our journey started.
Yeah. So how CUBO Plus journey starts? First thing we did when, after talking and putting some ideas together to get CUBO Plus, was to partner with some local university here in El Salvador, specifically with the Universidad Don Bosco y UTEC, which are two technical universities here in San Salvador. So we used the university actually to try to reach out to as much student as possible, and we also used some other channels such as developer communities and stuff like this to ask to people to join in this new journey that we were experiment basically. So after the call for application, we had a period called preparatory period, which was designed to give to those students the basics of Bitcoin and Lightning. The majority of people didn't know much about, people that applied didn't know much about Bitcoin in general. I remember the first conversation where they said, yeah, Bitcoin is a crypto, is legal here in El Salvador, stuff like that. So yeah, they were not really into it, and that's okay. Yeah, that's where the preparatory period meant to taught them and give them the basics. So this period actually was divided into 5 modules. Why Bitcoin, explaining some philosophical, economic, the roots of Bitcoin, basically. How Bitcoin, teaching about the technological stack of the protocol. The banking Bitcoin was about the difference and explaining the difference between crypto and Bitcoin. Then we had the other module, which was actually running Bitcoin, that I think is the slide from Alekos. Thank you, Alekos, for helping so much for everything. Alekos helped us in the preparatory period and as well as then for the bootcamp. I think he's an amazing teacher. And so the 5th module, the last one, was improving Bitcoin, where basically we explained the students about the open problems in the protocol. So after the application, we had this online program. It lasts around 2 months, a little bit less. There were these online classes for all the students. We organized some activities, some like study groups for them to present, really like dive also and like get knowledge, try to present. So after that period there was a selection that allowed the students to pass to the on-site part, the bootcamp. Some of the criteria of the selection were like Lightning and Bitcoin protocol understanding, technical understanding, open source collaboration experience, and Bitcoin related problem solving assessment, and some coding, general coding assessment. This selection basically was a one-to-one interview with each candidate. So yeah, after all that online course, we had this selection to then pass to the on-site program, which was about 2 weeks here in El Salvador. Intensive program. The first week were mostly theoretical week, theoretical lectures. And in the second week, we had more practical hands-on like sessions. So yeah, here you can see some photos of yeah, Peter Todd. This was the room where we had the first week. Yeah, the second week, as I mentioned, we had like technical hands-on session and as well as an hackathon. Was an internal hackathon just for them to put into practice what they have learned during these months. And I'm really glad with the students that decided to put trust into us with this new journey, because CUBO Plus was nothing a year ago. It started, yeah, a year ago, and there was no history, nothing, no reviews, nobody knew about it. So they really decided to put a lot of effort into it. They trusted us, and yeah, from knowing basically not much about Bitcoin to developing their first Lightning application in just a few months was really great to see. I'm very glad of the students we had for the first for this first interaction of CUBO Plus. Of course, we had also some activities, because keeping young people 8 hours per day into a room, like teaching them about technical stuff is not the best thing. So we decided to have some activities like surfing in El Zonte, where many of the students had their first surfing session. We hiked the Volcano Santa Ana, where some of us unfortunately lost their private keys into the crater. And yeah, after that, some of the students also got the opportunity to participate to Jimmy Song and Lisa Negut seminars, where two days hardcore with Jimmy, 2 days with Lisa. And yeah, so basically all this selection was kind of an halving, in the way that we started with actually the first selection was a bit harder. So we started with 150 applications, more or less. The preparatory period was about 55 students, and from that point we kind of at each selection we halved the students in half, basically. So call to action, then like application, then the preparatory period, then the on-site, then half from the on-site passed to these seminars, and yeah, at the end of which like first there is the internship program, before the other thing I was going to tell. Yeah, the internship program, basically almost all the students are now working in a Bitcoin Lightning company. So we have some of them working with the Cover Bitcoin, helping installing nodes around schools, high schools here in El Salvador. I don't know if you heard about the Cover Bitcoin. So they're planning to install one node in each high school here in the country, and we have 2 of our CUBO Plus students helping them. We have Ricardo is here, which is working with the RGB team. We have Moises, which is another student working with Tianki, other with K1, others started working with Bitfinex. So almost everyone got an internship. We helped them, of course, getting the internship because we believe that is one of the most important point of this journey because it's where they really put into practice what they learned. Just a few are missing, but we will make sure that they will get this internship because yeah, it's really important. So as I was mentioning before, after all the selection, after the on-site part, the Jimmy and the Lisa seminar, a few students had the opportunity to travel to Europe, to Tuscany, to attend the Tuscany Lighting Bootcamp, and there we had a more advanced educational program about lighting, RGB, where also Alekos was a lecturer there. Yeah, basically, yeah, we have a video of this experience they participated in Tuscany. I don't know. So yeah, that was the last step of this first interaction, and yeah, I'm really glad of, as I said before, again about the students we had. They were really putting a lot of effort in the program. And yeah,
I guess we have next steps. One thing, like before even thinking about the future, I think analyzing what is it that all of that this presentation means in terms of like what is El Salvador doing in terms of education. I think noticing Peter Todd, Jimmy Song, Lisa Newitt, big names in Bitcoin, Fulgur Ventures, Bitfinex doing some other stuff. Institutions like the CUBO Bitcoin, the Bitcoin office working on it, CUBO Plus as its own institution being born from Bitcoin office and Fulgur. I think this paints a very clear idea of where is it that the country is moving forward in terms of like not just adoption but awareness of Bitcoin. Coders are necessary because they are the workers that build the infrastructure, the economical infrastructure in which all of the wild things that we think about the future in terms of technology and tokenization even sometimes are going to be built on and are going to run on. So I think that's a very good thing to analyze, you know, like the important people that are coming here and teaching very elite level of education to locals, to the locals of the Bitcoin country that we are selling to all the Bitcoiners for them to come here. Like I think it's like a good reference for that. In terms of next steps, this was the first pilot kind of trial to, you know, like make some errors here and learn from them. first pilot of the CUBO Plus program. We hope and we're sure that with, because it was very funny, like some of the students that joined the course, joined it not knowing, not having any frame of reference to what to expect, because some of them got an email from their university. Some of them saw a poster in the walls of the university. And sometimes they got the part where it says it was Bitcoin education or Bitcoin coding something, right? And some of them like talked to their parents about that. And even at a very late stage of the program, some of the parents were thinking that we were going to ask them for money at some point for some investment, because that was the level of awareness that Bitcoin had in many countries, and even in this country before, well, newer times. Because you listen about Bitcoin and what is Bitcoin is something you buy and people are interested in it because it goes up in fiat value. So even yesterday I was telling a bunch of Germans that adoption is not just the fact that you go somewhere and you pay with it, but adoption is awareness of Bitcoin. Everybody in this country is aware of the fact that Bitcoin exists and now is aware in a better way that how it works, why we use it, why we trust it, and why we Bitcoin also. So in terms of next steps, we're going to do another CUBO Plus program next year, potentially in January and February, starting next year. We're going to do it in a bigger way. We already are thinking about expanding in terms of the team of CUBO Plus. All the teachers and mentors that help give the classes in CUBO Plus are already excited to join again. And is that the last one? Yeah, and so we wanted to ask actually if anybody here is somebody technical, I guess most of you are, in Bitcoin, a coder, a philosopher, to contact us through Twitter, which now is called X, or through our email. If you want to just give a lecture, because a bunch of Bitcoiners from all the areas, from philosophical to economical, they gave lectures to the students online. Some of them came. Seifedin was the first on-site, well, face-to-face teacher that they had. And yeah, if anybody has any questions, also we'll
any help is really appreciated. Any suggestion, if you would like to, yeah, as Mario said, give a lecture, propose anything. If you are a Bitcoin Lightning, if you have a Bitcoin Lightning company and you would like to hire some talented developer here in El Salvador, yeah, just reaches to us. We try to make it work, and we will really appreciate your help.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Guys.
Hi, you guys. I have just a question. Where are you based? Are you in the city or more on the beach?
Yeah, so actually I'm from Italy. He's from here, from El Salvador. He's living here in San Salvador. The program we ran the first week, which was most theoretical, we were based basically here in the city, San Salvador. We had the lecture there, and then we moved to Bitcoin Beach for the second week for more practical hands-on part of the program, and the hackathon as well. So yeah, basically.
So basically, CUBO Plus is a program born from the Bitcoin office, which is a presidential office, and Fulgur Ventures. So if somebody asks like where we're based, if we have like a physical place, we don't have a physical place because it's a course that we run, but it's not necessarily physical.
Okay, the reason I asked is something I would personally be interested to see happen in this country would be BitDevs. Are you familiar with that? Like, I'm personally on the coast, but maybe once a month in the city, if that's where the devs are. I don't know where the devs are. I don't see any in El Zonte. And I don't know if there is enough interest for a protocol level sort of BitDevs. I did stop by the CUBO seminars once or twice. It looked, I could be wrong, it looked like it was more application level development going on as opposed to protocol level, but that could be mistaken. But
that's true.
okay, Do you think there would be interest enough developers to organize together maybe a monthly bit devs, like in New York or other large
We were
cities?
actually thinking exactly about that, about doing
Yeah.
meetups.
That would
for
be
devs.
great.
Like actually, that's part of
technical
our
ones.
next. Yeah, actually. Yeah.
Protocol research and development.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, of course.
perfect.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
that-
do that, I'm interested.
Yeah, we'll let you know, of course. Yeah, that was the idea also, to have more. Basically, yeah, CUBO Plus will remain once per year as educational program, but maybe there is this possibility to have these meetups, sort of where, yeah, devs meet, create a kind of community, which with more. Let's say that there is a physical place where they can meet, where they can discuss about the protocol levels or whatever. We can create dedicated day for any other things. Yeah, we're gonna work on that and take you into account for sure.
That would
Thank
be
you.
great. Maybe some in Spanish, some part in English, because if you're
Yeah,
doing the open
absolutely.
source part, that will be in English with your other
Yes.
people. But I think that would be really interesting for this country.
Yes.
Awesome,
It's part
guys.
it's
Thank
part
you.
of the plans. Thank you. Somebody else needs. Somebody has a question. We're good. Thank you then.
Thank you.